Starting. Hey, it says it started.
Yay.
Ah!
Greetings.
Sorry.
Ah! Oh, he scared Loki.
No, because Loki hit something they shouldn't have hit.
Oh, okay. I thought you saw a name in the chat going, ah!
That as a link, not into freaking.
I hear. I hear an echo. I think that's my fault. Yep.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I don't have the
My
video
bad. That was my fault.
playing in the background yet.
Sorry.
It's all good. It's all good. Oh, what a beautiful day. What a beautiful, warm Sunday. Hopefully you Americans are enjoying it as much as us Canadians. So
It's a mild day here in Washington.
a mild day.
A mild day. It's actually really nice today. It's not too hot and it's a little cool, a little breeze.
Perfect day to worship Satan indoors. So.
What the hell? What's playing? Is that me?
I don't have the video playing right now, so it's all you, man.
I don't have anything playing yet.
What the hell?
My computer's taking forever.
All right, got so many lovely people. 8 people. How y'all doing? I'm gonna keep you entertained while the old timers get their things together. So
hey now.
No, mine's just muting stuff. Okay, give me a break.
Let's see, who do we got in the chat? We got oh, hey, Dorian's in the chat. What are you doing in the chat, Dorian?
The powers of a nice little cell phone here, just trying to steal the whole show. So
all right. Animus, hey Animus, how's it going? Witchy Jim, hey Witchy Jim, welcome. He's somebody who was watching me before, and I guess he's back on YouTube again under a different alias. He's running from the cops. And Kawaii's Witch, hey Kawaii's Witch. Zabora is here. Hey Zabora. Travis, hey Travis. CC, oh CC's in the house. And that's it. How is everybody? Anybody blowing off fireworks?
My neighbors.
Okay. I'm actually surprised it's pretty quiet around here.
That's a shocker.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it doesn't help that. Sorry.
When do you Americans actually celebrate your big holidays like that? Because Canada, we only get July 1st. That's it. So, like, is the whole 4th of July thing like a week for you guys, or
no? It's just a day.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a day, but people make it last a week by blowing up parts of their house.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I was kidding.
Well, when I lived in Southern California and I lived along the beach, I would after like the 4th of July, I would go, and there's this type of I forget what it's called, but it's a very like sturdy, thick, wet type of plant that grows along the beach, along the hills of the beach. And people, when they throw fireworks into it, it would go out. So you would go in there and you would find like firecrackers that didn't go off, and I'd collect those and then go and then blow them up.
The poor man fireworks.
Exactly. Yep. And let's see, Mary Morning's in the chat. Hey Mary, how's it going? Because if you take a firecracker and you pull, like if it's like all the way down, like it has just a little tiny bit of a fuse in there, you can actually pull it out just a little further and give yourself an extra 2 seconds before you blow your finger off.
But only 2 seconds.
Right, exactly.
All right, in your next video, make sure you put your hands up just so I can see how many digits you have left, okay? I'm kind of curious now.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Oh, I'm good.
I was about to ask, did you just count 14? Anyways, no, I guess fireworks became a problem for us around here. So in the Vancouver, they're banned. But I live on the outskirts of Vancouver, so guess who can go out and buy fireworks and blow something up?
Who?
I can.
Oh, okay.
Because almost every single street corner has a fireworks stand right now.
Nice.
Wow.
Well, we just go into Chinatown and we get the good fireworks.
Well, just for you guys, I'll go buy like one of those little snake guys. You light it on coils, so I'll do that for you. Celebrate your American holiday. So.
Aww.
I like snakes.
CC, we do love you.
I'm on the fence.
Well, you're on the fence with everyone. I'm confused about last night's chat, how it went from talking about pot to comic books.
I don't know either. Yeah, I know exactly. We were just talking about everything under the sun. It was one of those chats.
It was fun. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. Yeah. Well, it was a BYOT, bring your own topic. So people brought their own topics. Yeah. I didn't really have.
Well, Doran can appreciate. Yeah, Doran can appreciate. I have the Canadian superhero behind me.
I don't know. I don't see Superman or the Wolverine. Where are they? Where's the good old Canadian-made Superman?
Oh, I hate Superman. So
Superman's not from Canada.
He was conceived in Canada by a Canadian artist. So
lies.
It's actually we had him printed on limited edition special currency.
Canadian propaganda.
He is legit on our money. So
don't come into this American hangout and spread your hate, your propaganda, and your lies, your misinformation.
Like our beer is better. Our superheroes are better.
Your beer is better. Them's fighting words.
Oof. I don't know. I think we should have a whole Heathen Haven to sample beer. The Devil's Spirit. So
see how long it lasts.
We would have to have Soren on as our special guest because I would make them sample the beer because I don't drink very many beers without making a really weird or fucked up looking face.
And they'd probably drink us under the table, right?
Oh yeah, Soren loves beer.
I don't know. I could just be really mean and be like the Crown Royal, a great Canadian whiskey. So
my mother-in-law drinks that.
It's like Canadian whiskey.
Sorry, I go for the Irish whiskey. I go for Tullamore Dew because it has more of a kick and it goes down a lot smoother.
So
I'll drink to the Irish.
What's the Canadian beer you have, Dorian?
Oh, I got some AGD, Alberta Genuine Draft.
That sounds high class.
Oh, it's still better than your guys' Pabst Blue Ribbon. Ugh.
Oh, I agree with that one.
Woo. Yeah,
I can do Pabst very little.
Yeah, Pabst is not a. Yeah, I don't think there's a single American beer that I like. I think the only one that I will tolerate is Michelob. I think that's about it. But I don't like Coors. I don't like Budweiser. I don't like Pabst. I don't like Hams. Or any of the other ones. But I mean, I like the microbrews. The microbrews are okay.
I have to be in the mood for Budweiser, and it either has to be Bud Light or Bud Ice, because I cannot stand the actual smell of regular Budweiser because my biological father used to drink it. So guess what was the house reeked of?
Yeah. So you
So
have a bad association with it.
yeah, for me though, I love Blue Moon.
Oh, okay.
I will drink Blue Moon no matter what time of the year it is, and I'll throw my orange in there and be happy.
Blue Moon, another Canadian beer. Just putting it out there. So
It's a good beer. I will give you that, but I will also look at you and go, you don't have blackberry cider that actually tastes like you're sucking on a warhead.
If you ever drink European beer, it'll ruin American beer for you. So if you ever go to England or Germany and drink beers, it'll ruin American beer for you.
I've had German beer from Germany that my dad brought home from a TDI. He brought home a huge case of this German beer. I have no idea what it's called. It's in little brown bottles. I shouldn't have been drinking it because I was underage, but he told me to try it. I liked it, but...
So Zabora says, don't drink Budweiser. It contributes to animal cruelty. What is that about? Let us know, Zabora.
Anheuser-Busch owns SeaWorld, and a lot of people think SeaWorld is animal cruelty. They have been in the past. They have changed for the most part, and some of the stuff goes for helping the maintain. Most of the sales of Budweiser go for maintaining not only the Clydesdales, but also for SeaWorld and places like that. All their produce from SeaWorld goes back into SeaWorld. I do understand where a lot of people don't like SeaWorld because of what happens with the orcas, which most of the orcas can't be released into the wild regardless of what everybody wants. But I will still support SeaWorld for one reason only. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have a lot of the insight that we have when it comes to sea life. And they do a lot of good conservation, and they do the capture, heal, and release program still. They're just not with orca.
Yeah. Well, I mean, then you can make the argument for zoos. So stop supporting your local city.
Mm-hmm.
Your local city is supporting zoos.
It's one of
Zoos are
those.
pretty much the same.
Yeah. It's a catch-22. You're gonna think something is cruelty when it may not be. I do agree that the orca thing should stop, but is it going to? Sadly, no. Have I been to SeaWorld? Will I go back to SeaWorld? Yeah, I did enjoy my time there, and I did enjoy being able to learn more about dolphins. But it's to each their own. And I do like going there also to pet the Clydesdales. I'm not going to lie. I love the horses, okay?
SeaWorld has horses?
And they have a setup pen for some of their Budweiser Clydesdales.
Well, Zavora says zoos don't force animals to perform. Well, yeah, but they're confined. They're confined in a space. I mean, it's like jail. It's like jail. I mean, you're just there, and humans are walking around, and stupid kids are picking their nose and looking at you funny.
I do have to say, sometimes zoos do. Some of their elephant shows or their wild bird shows, if you think about it, or even like when they feed not the dolphins, but when they feed the sea lions or the otters or other things, sometimes it can be seen as performing, even though they are being fed.
Yeah, and I think Ringling Brothers had a problem with that too, or some controversy, because I mean they train lions and elephants to do things, and well, humans train cats and dogs to do stuff. So
in a way, there's always going to be a catch.
Yeah, I mean, it's just curious where people draw the line. You know, I mean, I guess it's up to each individual to determine where they're going to draw that line. But it's just funny. I mean, if you're going to start drawing hard lines on like whose beer you buy, maybe you should think about other industries and other businesses too that might be contributing to that same thing.
And Witchy Jim, you're a man after my own heart, drinking Tullamore Dew at the bar. I go and just buy a bottle of it and say goodbye to my savings and my idea of not having a sober moment.
I know I was just so steadfast on Canadian beer, but before anyone hates me, this is also a good beer.
What is it?
Kronenberg 1664 black. It's a fruity beer.
It's a fruity beer.
Oh,
It's from
sounds
France.
like a French
so-
thing. Yeah,
What makes
from
it
France.
fruity?
They add
it's French.
like, oranges and stuff. So
Oh.
lots of citrus.
Okay.
I like my answer better. It's French. I'm sorry that insulted any French people here.
Oh yeah, Zipporah says I also don't like the way Bud tastes. Yeah, I agree. I don't like the way it tastes either.
Is Bud actually Canadian or American? Because
I don't know.
I've seen them advertise like they named themselves American beer like last year for you guys, right? Or
Well,
was that
they
something
got
else they did?
Well, they got
They
the
did do that
Clydesdales
last year.
commercials. I bet
Yeah,
you. I bet
it
you
is
they
an
are.
American. It differs because I think it started in the U.S. and then went to Canada for a little while and then came back. I don't know. So
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
we should get
Zipporah's
on.
saying it's American. I'm pretty sure it's American.
well, right now I'm sticking to my non-alcoholic choice because it was $2.50 at Winco and I got a 12-pack again.
Nice.
And we're out of liquor.
Oh.
Yeah. Alrighty, so let's start this this video that apparently is a part 1 of a series. Hellbound, this is your fault.
Is it really? You don't have to play mine first.
Let the fun
Hey, at
begin.
least it's not another. At least it's not another chalkboard lady.
Yeah,
Alright.
that is a good thing. So upside is I can actually talk to the chat with this now because Loki did a smart. I have 2 screens.
Nice.
And let's begin.
I can't.
Can
really
everybody
anything
hear it all
now.
right?
Not really.
But before we look at the UN, I want to
Better?
Mhm.
Yep.
Now, Bailey became associated with the writings of Helena Blavatsky. Blavatsky was a founding member of the Theosophical Society, which influenced Adolf Hitler. It was formed in 1895 for the advancement of occultism and had ties.
Wait, sorry,
with
hold on one
Freemasonry
second.
too, as in fact it still does today. Now, Blavatsky promoted
So okay, so these
Okay.
the Christians just throw in shit without saying anything. Okay, Hitler was a Christian. That's what he was. That but Helena Blavatsky, if he had any influence on Hitler, it's because Hitler read her books. That's about it. But Helena Blavatsky didn't have anything to do with Hitler. Neither did Alice Bailey. Well, Alice Bailey came later on, but they didn't have anything to do with Hitler. If Hitler liked their books, then that's that's what he. It doesn't have anything to do with them.
the idea of the Aryan race, the master race, in other words, in which Hitler became obsessed. Now, importantly to note, Blavatsky was actually a Satanist at heart. She said this: "It is Satan who is the god of our planet and the only god." And this without any elusive metaphor to its wickedness and depravity, for he is one with the Logos, the first son of the gods. Now, also to note in the context of what we are speaking about today is that Blavatsky said that the purpose of her society
Did he?
was to prepare
Sorry.
humanity for the arrival of a
Come on,
world
pause.
teacher.
I don't know if I missed it, but did he say where that came from? What book?
No, he did not. He just said her writings.
Yeah. So that's highly suspect.
I mean, anyone can write anything, and doesn't mean it's true.
Mm-hmm.
And just because you're a fan of somebody doesn't make them something. I don't know much about this woman, if she was Satanist or Christian. I have no clue.
No, she was part of the Theosophical Society. So she essentially was a Christian spiritual mystic, and
Okay.
she also combined Hinduism with Christianity. The Theosophical Society itself, that also was in the same building as the United Nations. They also started the what's it called? Parliament of the World Religions. So the Parliament of the World Religions is something that happens every 5 years or something, where all the various religions from around the world come and meet together and talk and exchange ideas. And it's actually a fantastic thing. And I think they had the very first one in the 1930s, I think. I'd have to look it up, but yeah, she was influential on that. And so the Christians, some evangelical Christians who get a hair up their butt, think that she tried to create some kind of a one world government because of that, or try to create one world religion. And no, that's not the goal of the Parliament of the World Religions. It's to exchange ideas and find out that religions have more in common with each other than they have differences.
Yeah.
But that sounds way too reasonable.
Yeah, I know.
It sounds like she wanted to make everyone get along in a fun way, and somebody wanted to come along and screw it up.
Well, she apparently was a Satanist, so,
Yeah, this guy said she was. She had to be.
Yep.
He said it in a video. It has to be true.
Yep. Because everything on the internet is true.
I knew it.
Miss Bailey, who in 1915 became influenced
No!
Blavatsky's writings, quickly rose to prominence within that society. Now, Bailey's writings were many, and she claimed she received the writings through supernatural visitations and published 24 occultic works. Now, later in 1922, Bailey founded the Lucifer Publishing Company, later to be known as the Lucis Trust. The obvious connotations of Satan and the society are clear in the name alone. So the Lucis Trust acts as the publishing arm for Bailey's books and her occultic training schools, World Goodwill and other groups. So what's this got to do with the UN? Well, World Goodwill has been given UN recognition, and the Lucis Trust has been given consultative status within. At one point, the Lucis Trust, this occultic distributor of books, was housed within the UN complex in New York. And actually today, if you visit the Swiss European headquarters, as I have done a few years ago, you will see the Lucis Trust operates just a stone's throw from the UN building. Now, I visited the Lucis Trust, and before being quickly ushered out, I was able to see amongst the bookshelves of occult material a table with crystals in the middle. So friends, this is not just the stuff I've read about. I've seen this myself. It's not conspiracy. It's absolutely real. It's absolutely true. It's not
Pause.
So friends.
Okay, just because he quote unquote got thrown out and saw something, he claims, I want to see the proof that he saw it. Besides his word that, oh, I saw it, therefore it has to be true.
Yeah,
you have to believe me.
Right. And then how did he get in there, and did he have permission? And I mean, you just can't walk into a private building or even a public building for that matter and just go up and just wander around. You'll actually get escorted out. But this company does exist. It was called Lucifer Publishing Company, and then later on they decided to change it to Lucius because obviously the name Lucifer has a lot of connotations with it, negative connotations, and so they changed it to Lucius. But Lucifer himself, represents the fallen one, the one essentially kind of like a Prometheus figure, the one who brought knowledge to the world. But in the Bible, they talk about the fallen star, to represent Hasatan, who fell from grace. And so Lucifer got mixed up with Hasatan in a lot of Christian stories. But the deity of Lucifer was one who brought knowledge to humanity. So that's why they used the name Lucifer Publishing, and then they changed it to Lucius. And yes, it does have I think the building is close to the UN, but it doesn't mean that they have some kind of influence on the United Nations.
I was about to say, because my nephew is named Lucius, or also is short for the name Lucius, which was a name that my sister-in-law found in the Bible. And so I've always been confused about that one in particular, but it makes more sense knowing that the actual person who brought knowledge to the world was in myths and all that was named Lucius. So, and the fact that people like to change things around, it fits their narrative in the end.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm not that familiar with the figure, but I think it comes from, maybe somebody in the chat is more familiar with it, but I think it comes from Roman. I think it's a Roman mythology. I could be wrong, but I think that's originally, and of course he was called the Morning Star. You know, but yeah, that's about as much as I know about it.
okay.
I've always found that really funny though.
What?
I always found that funny though. Like Lucifer was just bringer of light and stuff like that, and somehow that light was evil, and the all-powerful, perfect being created the perfect evil.
Right.
It's just something. It's funny. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, it's really funny because I mean, even if you look at Genesis, if you look at the story of Adam and Eve, they ate from the fruit of the tree of knowledge, and then they understood that they were naked, and then they felt, sinful. But they ate from the tree of knowledge, so it's like knowledge is bad. It's like it's not good to have knowledge, and it's really, I don't understand how that got mixed up in especially the Christian mythos. I don't understand how understanding, if you truly believe in a monotheistic deity that created everything in the entire known universe, why wouldn't, and that deity gives you agency and knowledge, why wouldn't that be something that you would want to worship? And then hopefully through knowledge you would find the true meaning of the monotheistic deity that you believe in. To me, it just doesn't make any sense.
What doesn't make sense for me, because Lucifer pretty much means light bringing and stuff like that. How could they turn the bringer of light, like light bringing, and make him the bad guy? It's just like, oh, here comes our teacher. He taught us everything. Oh, time for a test. Oh, I hate the damn teacher. The teacher's evil.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know exactly how it got wrapped up, but I mean, Lucifer's like named in the Bible, I think, only once. And then Hasatan, or Satan, is mentioned in the Bible a couple of times, but he's the adversary. He's sort of like the one who tempts humanity, but he's not necessarily like opposed to God. He basically works for God. He's like he's an angel who does God's bidding. He's kind of like the fall guy. He's the one that has to sort of do the grunt work, But God is in complete control of him.
Oh, so hot on the head.
Lucis Trust distributes occult books worldwide, and they are very much a part of the United Nations. So why then would the United Nations be party to such strange groups within that organisation? Tellingly indicates that the UN's presence on the earth is more spiritual than political, and the demonic realm is using this political body as a vehicle to pave the way, along with other vehicles like the EU, for example, to pave the way for this world teacher, as Blavatsky said in her writings, and as the Bible identifies as the Antichrist.
So, pause it for a second.
So we're looking at the United Nations.
So in case anybody's wondering, this is how they tie in the occult to the New World Order and the one world government and the one world religion. So in case you're ever wondered why the New World Order and the Illuminati and the occult and Satanism is supposed to be involved with taking over the world, this is the key. This whole Lucis Trust, this the H.P. Blavatsky and the Theosophical Society, they tie this in. This is how it got convoluted with this. It's because they have a building that's adjacent to the World Trade Center, or excuse me, the United Nations. I just find it so fucking hilarious. It's like they're turning the frogs gay.
Well, maybe we are.
I don't know. I think it's the frog's choice.
It should be the frog's choice, damn it.
Striving to protect human rights and foster world peace, a powerful force for good in an otherwise fractured world. However, this is simply a propaganda mask shrouding its true identity and corrupt intentions, one of which we will now see is distinctly religious and occultic in nature and setting the stage for the arrival of the Antichrist. In 2009, the UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon said, "Our times demand a new definition of leadership, global leadership. They demand a new constellation of international cooperation, governments, civil society, and the private sector working together for a collective global good." Now, to this aim, the United Nations has what it refers to as civil society organisations, UN system partners, and valuable links to civil society. Now, these societies, it says, play a key role at major United Nations conferences and are indispensable partners for UN efforts at the country level. Now, these non-government organisations are consulted on UN policy and programme matters. The UN organises and hosts on a regular basis briefing meetings and conferences for NGO representatives who are accredited to UN offices, programmes and agencies. And the Lucis Trust is listed as one such society playing a key role. Now, as stated by the UN, the areas of Lucis Trust expertise and fields of activity are culture, human rights, humanitarian affairs, sustainable development and values. Now, the relationship between world goodwill of the Lucis Trust and the United Nations is also clearly stated in World Goodwill's purposes and objectives. The work of World Goodwill is based on the principles of brotherhood, human unity, sharing and cooperation, on the fundamental rights and freedoms embodied in the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights. World Goodwill is an activity of the Lucis Trust, which is on the roster of the United Nations Economic and Social Council. Finally, the objective of World Goodwill is to support the work of the United Nations and its specialised agencies as the best hope for a united and peaceful world. So we can see, friends,
that does not sound too bad.
No, it doesn't. Are indispensable parts of the United Nations.
Pause. Flipping video. Yeah, the way that he's making this sound is, I kind of want to go yay with the Lucis Trust. I mean, it would have helped us. And he's making them sound like the big bad guy because they want to do something, or just because their name says Lucius.
Well, yeah, I mean, essentially, that's what it comes down to. It comes down to the fact that they called it Lucifer Publishing in the beginning, and it's actually Lucius. And I mean, it's the same crazy ass bullshit. It's like, oh, okay, the occult. Yes, we all worship Satan. Oh, what did Satan want? Oh, Satan wants the end of the world. Ooh, how are they going to achieve that? And I mean, it's the same bullshit. Anything they can use to connect the dots, they just do. So, oh, Lucis Trust is adjacent to, the United Nations, and they had the Lucifer Publishing, and it's not even really. I wouldn't even consider their work today occult. I would consider it more maybe New Age. But the Theosophical Society really doesn't have that much to do with the occult nowadays. Back in the day, it was, like the Theosophical Society, the Golden Dawn. They were pretty close together, but it was also the Golden Dawn and the Theosophical Society were very much heavily Christian based. They were very much into Christian mysticism. And so the Theosophical Society pretty much is, theosophical. They're very much still into Christian Christian mysticism.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's just like, really, people? Really?
Oh, maybe if the world was like a one world government, ISIS wouldn't be destroying like historic landmarks left, right, and center. So
Oh,
True.
yeah.
it'd have been taken care of by now.
Yeah, some of the destruction that they've done is just, we'll never get that back. Never. But to be honest, I don't think a one world government would be that great, because I think you need to have separate governments to help economies. I think that's one of the reasons why the EU is slowly starting to fall apart, because you have countries like Greece and Poland, and they have these various, I mean, it just doesn't help economically. You need to have that exchange rate, and you just can't have one monetary system across the boards, because the worth of a euro changes depending upon which country you're in. And it's just I think it's just more trouble than it's worth. I think it's good to have open borders, but as for a one world government and a one world economy, I don't think it's all that good. And a one world religion, I don't think we'll ever achieve a one world religion. I think that's like, people are just too independent, especially when you start talking about such subjective things. People are just way too independent and find their own beliefs and stuff like that. Trying to create a one world religion, that's not going to fly.
Oh, that
It's
would
just not gonna
splinter.
happen.
That would splinter so quickly, man.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I watched, well, this isn't a bad thing to admit. I was watching Dark Matter's new video today, and he took the analogy that instead of using religion, he used sitting in a chair.
Mm-hmm.
As you think of, you had one group of people who sat in a chair one way and another with another way, and it was blasphemy to do it this way, but then you had this group that would prefer a certain color of chair and a certain way of sitting, and that women couldn't sit in chairs. And the whole it's great to have one where you're free to do whatever you wish, but then you have one that oppresses somebody, and you're about not oppressing people, but technically you have to oppress them in order to keep them from oppressing others.
Mm.
And it just takes off from there, and the way that it can spiral down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think.
What we do, no one's going to be happy with it.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
not everyone.
Yeah, I
will
think
be.
I saw a part of that. I think I saw a part of that video. I was doing something. I was either cleaning or cooking or something, and so I didn't catch the whole video. But yeah, I saw that one you're talking about.
Yeah, and
I
I
liked
like
it.
how he explains things.
Yeah, and I also like
Sorry.
the graphics he used in it.
I know he did that all by himself.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep.
But
according to these declarations that are being made. Now, one of the main purposes of world goodwill is, now listen to this, friends, because now it begins to sound a bit odd. One of the three main purposes of world goodwill is to cooperate in the work of preparation for the reappearance of the Christ.
What?
Now, I want to ask one vital question here.
yeah,
I highly doubt that the UN is saying that. You know how many people in the UN would get upset by the use of the word Christ? The Arab
Half of the
nations would
UN.
flip. Yeah, exactly. Really, half the UN. I mean, the Arab representatives would flip out. They would totally flip out. Yeah, I don't think so. I think that the UN really tries to keep religion completely out of the picture, because that's just a hotbed for people to get pissed off and just say, fuck you guys, I'm leaving, So I don't know where he's getting this quote from, and I really, really doubt it.
Wouldn't this be saying that they're actually doing, the UN is doing God's work because they're like preparing for God to come back then? Like, wouldn't this be pro-Christian? What his statement here? to cooperate in the work of preparation for the reappearance of Christ.
Mm.
So they're doing stuff to prepare for God. They're doing God's work. It's just like, that doesn't sound satanic. That sounds like something a Christian would do then.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
Appearance of which Christ? Because certainly they cannot mean the Christ of the Bible. How could an occultic organization whose name is derived from Lucifer himself be waiting for the Christ of the Bible?
There's your
Now
answer.
remember, Blavatsky, Alice Bailey drew her inspiration, believed Satan to be the God of this world and the only God. Now Jesus himself warned us about false Christs and that appearing are a sign to us of the closing of the age. If we read Matthew 24, it says, "Now as he sat on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately saying, 'Tell us, when will these things be? And what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age?' And Jesus answered and said to them, 'Take heed that no one deceives you. For many will come in my name, saying, I am the Christ, and will deceive.'"
Sure.
Jesus.
Yes. So that, yeah, sure. They give a quote in a page, well, not a page number, but a verse from the Bible, tell you exactly where it's from. But when they pull a quote from Alice Bailey or Madame Blavatsky, wherever it was, they don't say a page number or a book title.
Of course not.
Jesus.
That'd be too easy.
Do they actually think that people don't question this stuff? Like, I guess they just assume people are just complete idiots who don't see the obvious slant or bias.
The one thing
They
I've
think
noticed.
people-
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
No, sorry. Sorry.
Stop being sorry, Canadian.
Sorry.
But no, I think they want to hope people don't do this stuff, because to question it would be to question the word of God. How can you question God? That's their answer if you question it.
Right. Gotcha. Yep.
Well, I've always seen it that the way they preach it, they don't really consider people outside their own mental bubble. They preach it the way they want to hear it. And the way they want to hear it is not a way that will transfer well with other people. Like, one thing I found by looking at videos on YouTube, you have to be in their mindset pretty much. You have to be in this whole Bible is 100% true, or my life is not worth living anymore. It's just they don't know how to communicate well with others because they're communicating for people already in their frame of mind.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
Many. It also says in Matthew 24, 23 to 26, that if anyone says to you, "Look, here he is, here is the Christ," or "There," do not believe it. For false Christs and false prophets will rise and show great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even the elect. See, I've told you beforehand. Therefore, if they say to you, "Look, here he is out there in the desert," do not go out. Or, "Look, here he is in the inner rooms," do not believe it.
Yeah,
now,
but
the purposes
you know what's so funny about that?
Good.
Like, let's say
Yeah.
Jesus came back down or rose up, right? And he's like walking around and he's like, "I am the Messiah," and people are like, "No, you're not," because the Bible says that it's, it'll be bullshit. Then he's like, then he turns water into wine. He does miracles. And they're like, no. Because it says here in the Bible, you would be deceiving us. He turns like loaves to fishes. They're like, no. You're Satan.
You're a witch. Stone him to death.
Yeah, really, exactly. He's a witch. Burn him.
So oddly enough, he just set himself up not to be believed when he made when he would come again.
Exactly. He should have put a carrier sentence in there, like, if they do this one thing, then it's the true Christ. And then he would do that one thing, boom, they'd go, "Oh, yep, that's the Messiah." See? That's what he should have done.
Yeah, but that would have been sensible for the people writing the book to have remembered that. They forgot to go back and look at that chapter. Oops. We should have
Hey.
proofread this.
Hey, Jim, finish up with that chapter, man. We're all going to go to the pub. All right, guys. Yeah, I'm done. Trust me, I'm done. Okay, let's go.
Yeah. He kind of, the way that they have it set up, then how will they know when it's a true God that come back down? Will it be something in their hearts telling them? No, they never gave a real answer to that unless somebody actually knows that he gave an answer to that. I could be wrong. I'm pretty bad at remembering the Bible, so yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In that section called The Reappearance of the Christ, reveal further the beliefs of this United Nations organization that confirms its role without a shadow of a doubt in end-time Bible prophecy. Now, they believe that we are living in a time of preparation for a new civilization and culture in a new world order, and are waiting for the arrival of a new spiritual dispensation that a world leader, a world teacher, the Christ, will appear invoked by the masses in all parts of the world. Now, this Christ, they believe, is expected by Christians and all other faiths to refer to him under different names, such as the Imam Mahdi of Islam, the Messiah of Judaism, Krishna of Hinduism, and others. Now, conclusively, we can see that this awaited Christ is not the Christ of the Christian Bible. How can he be?
I don't
Firstly, each so-called Christ teaches a different doctrine and embodies conflicting character traits with one.
I
There you
don't
go.
I don't think Hinduism believes in a return of Krishna.
Not that I know of.
Yeah, I don't think so. And I don't know about the one, but the imam is like a leader, like a priest. So I don't even know about that one about Islam. I mean, I think Islam would, what would they want? Like the return of Muhammad?
I
Because he
think
was
so.
the true prophet. But I don't even think that's in there. I don't think that's in the Quran that there's like that Muhammad would come back down. I don't even think, because I think they view Jesus as a prophet, like a lesser prophet, but I don't even think they have a belief in him coming back.
As far as I'm aware, in the Islamic religion, Jesus was just that. He was just a prophet, and yes, he's in heaven, but not that I recall that he comes back. So
Zabura said Krishna is an avatar.
Okay. So, but is there anything that says that Krishna would come back or appear again or something like that? Movie making wants the Messiah, not a prophet. Movie making wants the Messiah for a prophet. I don't know what she's talking about. Anyhow.
Another, unless of course this coming Christ suffers from some kind of multiple personality disorder. Now the Bible says that the true God is not the author of confusion. You can read that in 1 Corinthians 14:33. Now, secondly, friends, how can Christ, who is God's son according to the Bible, be the same Imam Mahdi of Islam? When Islam says specifically that God has no son, as I've said before in other broadcasts, inside the Dome of the Rock in Israel on the Temple Mount, we can see inside there's an inscription that says specifically, God has no son. Now, certainly then, a true Muslim would not agree with the teachings of the Lucis Trust, that the Mahdi and the Christ of the Bible are one. And how can Krishna and Christ be the same person when they have different mothers who lived in different places and at different times? Christ was born in Bethlehem, Judea, to the son of Mary, who lived in Nazareth, Galilee, in the late 1st century AD.
Why the hell is he building? So why the hell did he build
Krishna.
up the straw man? He built the straw man so he can now tear it down. I mean, this is so ridiculous.
That's what it looks like he did. And I hate to say it, the BC and AD only came along because of how things, because it's before Christ and after death. I don't know. I believe that came along because of religion. I'm not 100% sure of that though.
Well, I think it was Ardo, Ardo Domina, and then something something BC. But yeah, but the more respected way to do it is to do before the Common Era and then after then the Common Era. So you have CE and then BCE. That's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Animus says that this guy free associates at an amazing level. I completely agree. He's just free associated. But that's all these crazy ass conspiracy theories are. It's like free association. It's like, oh, well, there's triangles in potato chips. So potato chips must be part of the Illuminati. Who owns that? Oh, this person. And I mean, they just completely just free association just to their heart's content. Instead of finding where a path actually leads, they find a path that leads to what they want to believe. I mean, it's just, yeah, it's complete free association.
If it matches to their narrative, then it's true. Then it has to be true.
Exactly.
Was born in Uttar Pradesh to the son of Devaki, who lived approximately 3,000 years prior to Christ's birth. The Christ that is to come is the Christ that was first born in the flesh to Mary in Bethlehem. Friends, it's so important that we remember this. The Christ that is coming is the Christ that was born in the flesh to Mary in Bethlehem. He is not the Christ of any other faith or the incarnation of anything else as taught by Blavatsky's Theosophy or Alice Bailey's so-called cosmic Christ. In fact, Theosophy even denies that the historical person of Jesus of Nazareth ever existed. Blavatsky made it clear and simple that Christ is not the Christ of the Bible when she wrote the coming of Christ means the presence of Christos in a regenerated world and not at all the actual coming body of Christ. Jesus Christ, the true esoteric Savior, is no man but the divine principle in every human being.
What book is it from?
Well, yeah, that actually sounds kind of like her writing, but I don't know exactly where it comes from. But it sounds like it might be accurate. But you see these little dots, like on the fourth line down, you see a little dot.
Yeah.
That means that there's something that they took out. So it's actually the coming of Christ means the presence of Christos in a regenerated world and not all the actual coming in body of Christ Jesus. And then there's X amount of words that they did not include in there, and then it begins up against Christ, the true esoteric Savior. So it sounds sort of familiar, but I think they're kind of clipping it together to make it fit their narrative. And again, yeah, we're not going to get a page number or even a book.
I would love to get a page number right now, like just some sort of clue where this is taken out of.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You can always Google the phrase of it.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
The coming of Christ means the presence of Christos. All right, I'll Google it.
Yes, because we want to find this book, or to see if she actually said that, or if it's somebody else that did it.
Okay, I have a really bad memory though. Okay, so the coming of Christ means the presence of Christos. What? The coming of Christ. Damn it. The coming of Christ means the presence. Okay. Okay, so H.P. Blavatsky, that was a good idea, Loki. The Theosophical Society, Studies in Occultism by H.P. Blavatsky. Here, let me, so it's the second paragraph down, and she says, and again, I'm sorry I can't give you all of the context for it, but she says, two things become evident to all in the above passages. Now that their false rendering is corrected in the revision text, A, the coming of Christ means the presence of Christos in a regenerated world, and not all the actual coming in body of Christ, Jesus. B, This Christ is to be sought neither in the wilderness, nor in the inner chambers, nor in the sanctuary of any temple or church built by man. For Christ, the true esoteric Savior, is no man but the divine principle in every human being, he who strives to resurrect the spirit crucified in him by his own terrestrial passions, and buried deep in the sepulchre of his sepulchre of his sinful flesh. He who has the strength to roll back the stone. Yeah. So anyhow, so they left that little part out. But that's what the Theosophical Society believed. I mean, they believed essentially that man can ascend to greater heights. That's part of their belief. That's part of their doctrine.
Yeah. And it makes more sense with actually that stuff into it that you read than just a little snippet he put here where he removed stuff so that you wouldn't have the full narrative of it.
Yeah. So what I'll do is I think I can put this link in here. I might have to give it to you, Loki, and then you can paste in there for the chat. So if people are interested, they can look it up. So let me do that.
Go to here.
So that's the link if you want to copy it and put it in the chat.
Okay, give me 1 second.
Sure.
So I have to pause it there and mute it there. Here.
We should give ourselves wrenches. Make each other moderators so that we can post links in the chat.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that, so
That's all right. I'll do it. I'll log in and do it at some point.
okay.
I wonder if I could set it up. Have you guys ever played Jackbox?
No.
I have.
Well, it's a game where we
No.
all use our cell phones as remotes. I could broadcast it on a screen, and we could do a nice, lovely charity stream where we all play games. I'll send you guys links, but people would be able to see our answers, help vote, and we can find out who is the most evilest among us.
Oh, is it kind of like Quiplash?
Yeah, it's actually from the creators of Quiplash. So
I was going to say Logan's kind of evil, so
Zabora keeps typing crystal, Loki, crystal.
yes.
So
Oh, being the evilest. Yes, I might be because of that, but I think Logan might be too. So
what?
I think you're pretty damn evil.
I don't understand. All right.
I love you, Zabora. Let's continue this evilness.
Friends, that is Antichrist ideology right there, and it's right within the very fabric of the United Nations. The Bible says that he who does not
so
believe
scary.
that Jesus came in the flesh, that is, was born in Bethlehem to Mary of Nazareth, is a liar and the Antichrist. 2 John 1:7. Now, the writers of the Gospel stressed further the vital doctrine that Christ was made flesh, that he became a man. After Jesus had died upon the cross and rose on the third day, we are told that he shared a breakfast of bread and fish with the disciples, John 21:14. Even after his supernatural resurrection, Jesus was not a spirit. He was still a man of flesh. And Thomas, who doubted that it was Jesus, put his hand into the physical wound of Christ and believed, exclaiming, "My Lord and my God." John 20. And finally, Jesus said that in the same manner, bodily flesh, that he would leave, he would return. The biblical Jesus will return in bodily flesh. And this is how we recognize who Jesus is when he comes. So if anyone says to you, Jesus has already come, or Jesus is there, or Jesus is here, Jesus is coming in bodily flesh. Now the Bible is a stark warning for us.
Whoa. If he's coming in bodily flesh, but yet if people who claim to be Jesus are fake and they're in bodily flesh, How the hell are you supposed to know who he is?
Exactly. Well, because he'll perform miracles. That's why.
Well, like people can say that was a trick of the eye or science or witchcraft. They'll probably call witchcraft, bury him in the sand and stone him to death. Because our luck is he'll appear in the Middle East, obviously look like a Middle Eastern man, not the white cereal box Jesus that we have all plastered on the wall. Okay, that most churches have plastered on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be like that. Or like Zimor said, is he going to float down from the sky and say, yo, what's up? And still have the wounds from when he was crucified?
Mm.
I would hope that he would heal those wounds.
Mm.
Because if he's reborn again...
Yeah, but I think when he rose from the grave, wasn't he made whole? And then ascended into heaven?
I don't remember.
Oh,
Been.
he appeared to his disciples with all the holes in him and stuff like that, and there was the one that didn't believe. So Jesus was like, "Here, put your fingers in my wounds."
Okay.
Yeah, really weird stuff.
But didn't he ascend to heaven? In his body, or did he leave his body behind?
It just says that they opened up the tomb and it was gone. So it's assumed that his body's in heaven.
Okay, all right, gotcha.
Concerning the teachings of the Lucis Trust. 1 John 2:22 states, "Who is a liar but he who denies that Jesus is the Christ? He is Antichrist who denies the Father and the Son." And 1 John 4:3 says, "Every spirit that doesn't confess Jesus is not from God."
So at this point, this has absolutely nothing to do with Lucis Trust.
Coming and is now.
No, it's just Bible Virtues trying to scare us.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have anything to do with Lucis Trust anymore.
No, they're just trying to scare us now. Just trying to scare us into Christianity, man.
Already in the world. Now we can see that the Lucis Trust is not waiting for the return of the Jesus of the Bible. Actually, Alice Bailey was clear on this point when she wrote, "The Christ who will return will not be like the Christ who apparently departed. If men look for the Christ who left his disciples centuries ago, they will fail to recognize the Christ who is in the process of returning. It matters not to him of what faith a man may call himself." Very friends, it matters a great deal to Christ if a man is placing his hope in any other personal faith than in Christ alone. Jesus himself said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me." John 14:6. And again, "I am the gate for the sheep. All those others are up to no good. They are sheep stealers, every single one of them." John 10:7-8. Now, in fact, Bailey's Lucis Trust teachings bear absolutely no resemblance at all, friends, to the beliefs.
I'm stealing sheep.
Okay, have fun with the sheep. God.
Christianity or to the teachings of the Bible, and any Christian references used by them are an attempt to cover up the true nature of that occultic teaching under the guise of pseudo-Christianity and to deceive those who do not have understanding. Now, Jesus described these kinds of teachers as being ferocious wolves disguised as sheep. Beware of the false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravenous wolves. Matthew 7:15. Now, the Lucis Trust denies both the true Father and the true Son. Its members do not confess the Jesus of the Bible. We are therefore left with one disturbing reality. If the United Nations are not waiting for the true Christ, then who on earth are they waiting for?
Yeah, but I don't think.
Ow.
Yeah, I know, really. I don't think
What's your outro?
If you probably talk to members who work at Lucis Trust, majority of them would probably call themselves Christians. They, they're pretty far away from occultism. but they're into their own Christian spiritualism and Christian mysticism. I mean, it's New Age. It's pretty much the start. The Theosophical Society was pretty much what gave birth to the New Age movement, and New Age is just into spiritualism, into enlightenment, and just finding their own way, and taking bits and pieces and stuff. And very much, like a lot of New Agers believe that Jesus is going to come again, but he's not like the same person in the Bible. He's supposed to be like the Buddha, like an enlightened one.
Yeah. I mean, if there is a Christ that does come back, I would hope that we would maybe figure out who he is and not people kill him before then, because you're going to have people who are going to obviously deny him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if he does come back and he shows that he is Jesus, maybe he will prove to people that it doesn't matter what you are, as long as you realize, quote unquote, God loves you. And I was always told, as long as you realize God loved you, you'll be fine.
Right.
And as long as you love God back, you're fine. It doesn't matter how many times you go to church. Does it matter how many times you pray? As long as you know you have his love and light, you're fine. Or that's just what they told me as a kid, so.
Yeah. So yes, this was a one crazy video.
Yeah. It was an interesting video.
Yeah.
It was a lot of speculation, though. It's just like, at the start, he's like, I went here, I've seen this, it's true. Here's some stuff I dug up without letting you guys know the proper context to prove my point.
Right.
And now I hope you guys convert. The end.
Yeah, but I mean,
Pretty much.
That's how all these videos are. I mean, you read Bill Schnoblin's book. It's like, oh well, you see, I was a witch, and I was a Satan, and I was a Satanist, and I was a this, and I was a that, and I saw this, and I saw that, and you should believe because the true Father. And then you listen to crazy chalkboard lady. Oh, I was a witch, and I read this book, and I have this information God revealed to me. I mean, it's the same thing. Then you talk to other idiots on the internet, like Mark Passio, who was interviewed on the new, what is it called, the Alex Jones show, the Infowars, yeah. And he was an ex-occultist, an ex-Satanist who experienced this and experienced that, and you're supposed to believe it. I mean, it's all anecdotal, subjective, based upon their own interpretation of it, and you're supposed to believe it. I think they assume that if they make it scary enough, anybody who's a Christian who might be having like second thoughts won't do it. You know what I mean? Like, they won't actually like go out and like actually find out about the occult and find out about witchcraft. And then Bill Schnoblin actually came out with a video very recently actually warning people not to go to websites and read about occultism, because demonic forces can go through electricity and come to them through the internet.
Oh, that's good. That is priceless.
Yeah. So it's like, if you're a Christian and you're even curious about the occult, you want to find out more.
Pause, you piece of...
Wow. Thank you, Loki.
There. Sorry.
That's okay.
I was trying to get the second one ready.
That's okay. So yeah. So I mean, it's just it's hilarious. They don't even.
Oh my God! I said pause. Okay, there it goes.
Yeah. So anyhow.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
We were looking at the latest trust.
I think if you click it once, that's all you have to do. It just might take a second.
I did click it once.
And plays an indispensable and key role.
There we go. I'm not touching any mouse or anything, so it shouldn't go off again. I apologize.
That's all right. So Zipporah says that Bill was raped by demons as a kid. I mean, that's exactly what he says. He says he was out trick-or-treating with his friends and he was defiled by demons. And he
Yeah.
and he did have his one of his first sexual homosexual experiences in a Wicca coven. So he's
Bill is
also
just a whole chapter of his own.
so he's also denying his own sexuality.
Maybe that's why he's so angry, though. He just won't admit to himself.
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
Probably.
he had a three-way between him and this guy and his wife, and then he got jealous. I
Jealous
found out
that
too
his
much
wife was
information.
having too much fun, or jealous that the other guy was
Jealous.
having too
Jealous that the guy was spending too much attention on his wife. So I don't know if that meant that he was who he was jealous of, but he was jealous that the boyfriend and his wife at the time were spending too much time together. But I don't
So
know
they get
which one
along.
he was jealous of.
It's a horrible thing for them to get along. Go figure.
Yeah, really.
I thought you would want them to get along.
Who knows?
Okay, that was the rabbit. So, the part 2 to this, we'll be starting it. We probably won't finish it tonight because it is a 20-minute.
Mm.
As you guys already heard the sneak peek of it because Loki doesn't know how to fucking pause something. So, back it up.
Let me just destroy my video feed there. Hide behind a random picture of me.
Okay, go back over here, back to presenting. Screen 2. Gotta love the title.
Yesterday's prophecies, today's news.
So today, friends, we're going to continue on.
Oh, and look how he superimposed the logo on the building. That's cute.
Just to recap, we were looking at the Lucis Trust, once called the Lucifer Publishing House, which disseminates occult books worldwide and plays an indispensable and key role at major UN conferences. Now, I mentioned how I visited the Lucis Trust just over the street from the UN,
I like their artwork.
European headquarters in Switzerland, and saw for myself the occult.
Because this is totally occult lights. It's a guy on a flagpole, I want to say, with a bird and a sash. So he is Satanist. That's Satan, all right.
It's confirmed. And also, I think, what did he say he saw in there? He saw crystals and books. I mean, what else did he see?
He said altar with crystals and books and that they sell black magic. It's like... So apparently if you have a crystal ball or a pretty shiny rock, you're a Satanist.
Yep, it's confirmed.
Well, I'm fucked.
Mm-hmm.
I got a lot of those things.
Books and a table with crystals on display. So, friends, this is not imagined stuff or conspiracy theory.
So he saw a table of crystals on
Now,
display.
we saw how this group is looking.
Yes, a table of crystals and books on display.
Is that what he
And
said?
then he was ushered out.
Did he say books too?
Yeah.
Oh, he did, huh?
Yes,
Wow.
he said crystals and books.
Wow.
So
Yeah, that's it.
I want to know what he did to get kicked out.
He probably wasn't supposed to be in there. I bet you that's what it is. I bet you he snuck in or lied to get in, and then he was wandering around opening up doors to find information, and somebody called security and said, hey, there's some guy up on the floor going around opening up people's doors and looking in their offices. That's probably what happened.
And if it's on display, they might be displaying some of their old work that they have sold that was popular at the time when they sold it. And sometimes you want to put pretty crystals or rocks with it. How is that a bad thing? You're not summoning Satan by putting a book next to a hunk of rock. If so, then damn, Satan's in my house.
Yep.
Well, just remember, Pokemon brings in Satan, so...
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Great.
Yep.
My phone brought in Satan. God damn you, Pokemon Go.
Damn you, Pokemon.
In the return of Christ, and importantly, we ask exactly what Christ is it? You know,
So they use the white Christ.
Mm-hmm.
United
Yep.
Nations is
Yeah, walking around in the desert without sunscreen, he kept his skin real white.
Yeah. Lucky bastard. I go outside and I am so red I can't move.
on last week's broadcast by visiting my YouTube channel at endtimehour.co.uk. That's endtimehour.co.uk. Okay, so let's continue talking about the spiritual nature of the United Nations. So who on earth are the United Nations waiting for? Well, Paul Henry Spack, first president of the United Nations General Assembly, apparently did not care when he made this damning statement. We do not want another committee. We have too many already. What we want is a man of sufficient stature to hold the allegiance of all the people and to lift us up out of the economic morass into which we are sinking. Send us such a man, and whether he be God or devil, we will receive him.
What
Let me just say it again,
context?
friends. He said, and whether he be God or devil, that man for the United.
Yeah, but
I do
what?
kind of want to know the context of the conversation.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what context is this? What was he talking about? What speech was it about? I mean, they just clip these quotes out of context, and you don't know what context and what he meant. But maybe he was just saying that they need, because he's saying we do not want another committee. So it sounds like somebody is trying to create a committee for something or something. And then he says we have too many already. So yeah, I mean, if you have too many committees, everything gets bogged down. You know, you have a committee for a committee, and then the committee has to meet for the committee. It gets ridiculous. And then what we want is a man of sufficient stature to hold the allegiance of all the people and to lift us up out of economic morass into which we are sinking. So yeah, so I mean, I don't exactly understand what the context of this was.
I don't either, and I think he's just throwing it out there. Okay, the person in the video is just throwing it out there because he said that we receive him, send him a man, be God or the devil. So apparently, saying that they'll accept anyone who actually has a good idea and knows how to fix shit, even if they're the devil, then obviously that they're Satanists because they said they'll take God or the devil.
Yep.
But the devil has better ideas, I must say.
More creative.
Yeah.
Nations are waiting for, whether he be God or devil, we will receive him. Now, further evidence of the religious aspirations of the United Nations go beyond the Lucis Trust that can be found inside the United Nations building itself. Now, since 1957, located on the west side of the public lobby, is a meditation room. World peace for peoples of all faiths and religions.
So here's something really cool. I'm on their website right now, and they actually do have a thing here: meditation, a way of life, and how they claim that meditation helps you de-stress and helps your soul regulate during daily life and stuff like that. So they have a full thing, even on their website here, about the benefits of just calming yourself down, bringing yourself to a point of peace. But apparently that is satanic. So
yeah, and I mean they've done experiments like, you know, how your brain activity gets reduced. Meditation's actually very good for you. It actually lowers your blood pressure. It calms your mind, helps you to focus. So yeah, meditation is good for you.
And in that same concept, then my school is harboring the devil because they actually have in the diversity center, they have a meditation room free to use for anyone who just needs to go and unwind, de-stress, or if they want to go and use it to do your daily prayers or something like that in.
Oh yeah, yeah. Definitely satanic.
Yeah, so apparently, and they even have the Bible study room too. So sheesh, apparently my school is completely satanic or ass backwards, one of the two.
Yep.
The Secretary General of the United Nations personally planned and supervised every detail of the creation of the meditation room. Now, the room is all but empty except for an abstract mural and a 6.5-ton rectangular block of polished iron in the centre, illuminated by a single spotlight. Now, the abstract mural was created to evoke a feeling of the essential oneness of God, and the iron block an altar to the God of all, in accordance with the teachings of Theosophy, dedicated to the God whom man worships under many names and in many forms. And of course, we touched on Theosophy last week when we talked about the Satanist Helena Blavatsky and Alice Bailey of the Lucis Trust. Now, Dr. Robert Mueller, United Nations Under-Secretary General for 40 years, when speaking at the 20th anniversary of the Meditation Room in 1977, further illustrated the UN's religious agenda and beliefs when he said, meditation, prayer, dream, hope, vision, monitoring, guidance, foreseeing and planning all go hand in hand in so many different ways at the United Nations. Now, friends, this is Dr. Robert Mueller, United Nations Under-Secretary General for 40 years. He said, for me, the tall building of the UN is an edifice of human hope and dream, jutting into the universe and receiving from that universe increasingly clearer messages. Perhaps we have reached a time of cosmic evolution. Little by little, a planetary prayer book is thus being composed by an increasingly united humanity, seeking its oneness, its happiness, its consciousness, and its full participation in the continuous process of creation and miracle of life. Now, once again, but this time on a universal scale, mankind is seeking no less than its reunion with the divine, its transcendence into even higher forms of life. Hindus call our earth Brahma, or God, for they rightly see no difference between our earth and the universe. This ancient, simple truth is slowly dawning upon humanity. Its full flowering will be the real great story of the United Nations. Friends, I don't know about you, but
what a heretic. They should burn him.
This kind of stuff, it really blew me away. I could not.
He's a witch.
Imagine.
I mean,
the witch.
how can they let this guy walk around? I mean, that's horrible. They should burn him at the stake for saying that stuff. What heresy.
How dare he have an open mind? That's not right.
Making me sick. I'm losing my lunch.
How dare he want to help the world? How dare he sees a good thing out of something that helps other people? That's just wrong.
Sick.
But listen to the way that the guy has his speech actually makes me wish I was alive when he did this, so I could have been there to clap for this, because this is actually a good damn speech.
Mm-hmm.
It shows that he wants to bring, that he's supporting and bringing the world together as one instead of being separate.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a good idealisticness. Granted, it's kind of hard to do, but obviously if you want to have togetherness, it is Satanism.
Yeah, but yeah, and I mean, I think that people get confused when they're talking about this like concept of oneness. It doesn't mean that everybody's going to come together as one unit and one individual thing. It's going to mean that basically we have an understanding with everyone, and basically we come together as a group. We can still be individuals and have our own beliefs and our own systems of government and everything, but having I mean, that's what the United Nations was for. It was right after World War II when they had the Nuremberg trials, and they had, I mean, it was a horrific war. Thousands of people died, and even thousands more were put into gas chambers and killed. I mean, this really had a shock and effect on the world. It was like, wow, okay, they had just built the atomic bomb. I mean, they began to realize, wow, we're not going to be able to continue to have wars. And I think the United Nations was created with the hope of having world conflicts, having a forum, a mediation to essentially work out so that nations would not come to a world war again, because the next world war we have is going to be the last. So the United Nations was built upon a decent principle, even though I believe it's become corrupt and pointless. Now it was built on a good idea, but like I said, it's corrupt, and they have Arabs representing women's rights. I mean, now it's just ridiculous. But it was a good idea.
Yeah, it used to be a good thing until you put the people that don't have respect for a group in charge of said group.
Yeah.
Though I will give props to a few of the people that are Arab that actually go, no, women need to have the exact same rights we do. And like you, I got in an argument with somebody by saying, no, it's not men's right, it's not women's right, it's human right we need to fight for.
Right,
meaning we should all have the same rights. So why not call it human right instead of putting a damn gender to it?
Right.
And somebody told me I need to go get feminists. I need feminism in my life, because if I think that everybody should have the same rights, then I'm wrong.
Yeah, I don't understand how humanism became an awful word. I don't understand that, because egalitarianism and humanism were like what you wanted to be. You wanted to be an egalitarian or a humanist, because that meant that you believed in equal rights for everyone, regardless of who they are. I still believe that, and I'll always call myself an egalitarian and a humanist, because I see them as beneficial words. So yeah,
I do too.
People are idiots.
I mean, everybody should have the basic human rights. You shouldn't be judged by your gender. If you do a stupid crime, you should get the same sentence as somebody else who did the exact same crime. You shouldn't be told, oh, because you're a woman, we have to go light on you.
Right.
Or, oh, you're a guy, we have to throw the book at you.
Yep.
Or, oh, you're this skin color, therefore you must be more prone to this. Or, it normally never happens for your skin color type, so we'll go nice on you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the UN did start with a great premises of let's all be working together and do this. And obviously, it has not worked the way that they wanted it to work.
Yep.
Key figures within the United Nations would say things like this and believe things like this regarding the United Nations. Now, Muller holds no punches here, and he's quite clear about his aspirations concerning the United Nations. The UN building jutting into the universe is to communicate with the divine. And we can't help but remember, can we, the story of Babel. So it appears here that the fascination with Babel is not only reserved for the European Union alone. According to Muller, the final full flowering of the United Nations will be mankind reuniting with the divine. Now, this is a disturbing thought when considering that Theosophy's divine means Lucifer or Satan himself.
Does everything equal Lucifer? Holy crap.
Exactly.
Said,
Yeah, apparently.
When I add 2 plus 3 together, I get 11. Lucifer confirmed.
Yep.
That's it. That's a new phrase. Lucifer confirms.
Yep. 1 + 1 = 11.
Wait a minute. Even though I know I'm better at math than that. I may suck at math, but I know I'm better than that.
Black and white, rich and poor, from north or south, from east and west, and of all creeds were sending their emissaries to a tall glass house on the shores of the river of the rising sun on the island of Manhattan, to stand together, to think together, and to care together for the world and all its people. And God said, that is good. And it was the first day of the new age of the earth. Now, another group that meets regularly in the meditation room, and which is listed under the United Nations Civil Society Organizations, is the Aquarian Age Community. Now, their beliefs correspond to those of the Lucis Trust. Now, psychologist Susan McNeil's article, which was written for the group entitled The Spiritual Work of the United Nations and the Liberation of Humanity, reveals that the group's reach has influenced and introduced ambassadors and UN staff to UN meditation. She goes on to say that General Secretaries Kofi Annan and Ban Ki-moon believe that the UN meditation room to be both important and significant. She divulges that the meditation room is situated right below the General Assembly. This, she believes, represents significant alignment. McNeil refers to meditation with alignment, focusing together until an all-at-one-ment of soul and mind occurs, believing that no other body can best accomplish this than the United Nations. Once this alignment has been effectively concluded, writes McNeil, quoting from the Rays of Initiations by Alice Bailey, you have therefore as a guarantee of the return of Christ into public recognition. Finally,
did you guys find that very like spiteful that he said it?
To strengthen the path.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
Yeah.
The spiritual work.
He sounded very, very pissy. I mean, who pissed in his Oreos?
If it wasn't for that
Damn.
woman.
Yeah. The initiation of Alice Bailey. It's like, oh man. And I think they call the meditation room, like, I think anybody can go there. Like if you're a Muslim, and because you have to pray certain numbers. I know I can't talk today. Yeah, exactly. The certain number of times every day. I think it's like 4 or 5 times every day. So you need to have a room to go and pray in. And if you're a Christian, maybe you want to go down and say a prayer, or if you want to go and meditate or whatever. I mean, I think it's a great idea, to have a room that's dedicated that people can use just to sit there and have some privacy and do whatever it is they want to do,
Exactly. Everybody needs their own. Granted, I hate the concept of calling it a safe space, but everybody needs a space to do that in if that's what they need at that moment. I mean, that's why, like I said, my school has one, and they refer to that area as a safe area for anyone, any belief, any gender, any race, anything. If you want time or place where you can sit, reflect, and pray, they have a room for that.
Yeah, I mean,
if you want to go and do that, they have a room for that to accommodate everyone.
Right. Yeah. I mean, let's validate what a safe space actually was. A safe space wasn't a place where you don't like declare like a safe space. Yeah. A safe space is a place like, let's say you are somebody who's experiencing a traumatic event, or you have PTSD, or you have anxiety attacks or whatever. It's like a place that you can go where you can just kind of like get away and do feel safe. And yeah, I mean, the idea of a safe space is not a bad idea. It's just that these idiots on the left have been taking this whole safe space idea to its most stupidest extreme. Like, like they'll have tents set up and they'll say that, oh no, reporters can't go near them because it's a safe space. It's like, what? I mean, bullshit. You're having meetings there. It's not a safe space. You're having meetings there. You just don't want the media to see what you're talking about. But yeah, I agree with you. I think it is nice, especially if you're at the United Nations and you're basically you're representing your nation in the world, to have a space where you can go down and say, hey, I need some time alone. Am I doing the right thing here? And I mean, I can completely understand that. Now, if you have a safe space at work, that could be, maybe it's nice to have a prayer room, especially if you do have an employee that has certain religious requirements. Then yeah, it might be a good idea to designate like a room where somebody could go and pray or whatever, or what do you call it, to get breast milk out or whatever.
Yeah, a pumping room.
Yeah, thank you. That's what I was looking for, a pumping room.
Well, I work at a college, so you're gonna have things like this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I do agree with the fact that it keeps a safe space also keeps, when people want to go and pray, a group can meet in there and do a small prayer, or they can rent out a room and do it. It keeps it from pouring out into hallways where they can be disrupted, or they can be disruptive themselves and make a big scene.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have no problem with people kneeling down and praying. That's their choice. But I would prefer it not to be where I'm trying to walk down the hall or I'm trying to mop the hallway. That's where it becomes inconvenient. And that's when I'm thinking, just go to the damn safe space. It's right over there.
I have a pumping room.
Isn't that called your? Never mind.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, isn't that your recording studio?
You're bumping
Oh, I was gonna say. I thought that was your bedroom, Logan.
Ooh.
But
Work of the United Nations and the Liberation of Humanity meditation is, to my mind, a response to the invocative cry of humanity. Now, facilitating this liberation of humanity meditation and the so-called cry of humanity, the United Nations have adopted into their rules of procedure, Rule 62, a minute of silent prayer or meditation. The official UN website writes the following: immediately after the opening of the first plenary meeting, and
Oh no, a moment of silence is horrible.
these people are horrible. How can we possibly let them exist?
I mean, I kind of like the idea of a moment of silence to pull together your thoughts before you start. You know?
Yeah, I kind of disagree with that just because I think that government should be secular. So I don't think you should have any moment of silence or prayer or anything before an assembly, especially if you're representing, anything government-wise. I think if you need that, you can go to the restroom and do it, come back and start the meeting. You don't have to take up meeting time to do a prayer. You can do that. You can do that on your own outside if you really, really feel like you have to do it. But I think that enforcing governments to be secular is very vital to the survival of our species. Let's put it that way.
Oh yeah, because if you throw in religion with government,
Exactly.
which normally never mix, you're going to have more wars and you're going to have battles. And it's like, though I'm going to pull this in, you know how Capitol buildings are putting the 10 Commandments outside of it? Well,
Yeah.
I know like Logan may have saw this on my Facebook about the born-again Christian guy who got pissed off. They put the 10 Commandments in front of the Capitol building in his town, and he crashed his car into him and knocked him down. And now he's being arrested for vandalism.
Well, yeah.
But it's hilarious because he's a faithful Christian who believes in separation of church and state. Yet people are saying, no, he's a Satanist, when he's like, no, I go to church. I believe in Christ. I just don't believe that our government needs to be in religion. The
Right.
government needs to be away from religion. I want my belief system not to be in the White House. I want it to be in my house. It doesn't need to be everywhere. Which I gotta give him props, but at the same time, I gotta slap him upside the head for, dude, what the hell were you thinking? You just got yourself put in jail. You could have went around it so many legal ways.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, especially something like that. It's much better to go through legal means than to resort to vandalism, because if anything, it just gives strength to the Christians. But if you do it legally, you also set a precedent, and that's what that's actually what you want to do. But yeah, if you vandalize something, it's not good.
Yeah, and he fully admitted to vandalization, even though he was caught anyways. And he's like, I will do my time for it, but I am not sorry for it. So, I mean,
well, at least he's being honest.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah.
He's being honest.
And he's one of a handful of the Christians that I know that want state and church and state to remain separate. Another one that is one of my friends on my friends list, but it's just he wants to see it separate, and that's the kind of Christian I can respect, just not the vandalizing part.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately preceding the closing of the final plenary meeting of each session of the General Assembly, the President should invite the representatives to observe 1 minute of silence dedicated to prayer or meditation. So the United Nations take very seriously the act of meditation. Sri Chinmoy, the UN's official meditation leader from the 1970s until his death in 2007, wrote the following words and music for this UN.
Real quickly, is that his death picture? Because he looks pretty creepy in that picture.
Yeah, it doesn't look real, does it?
He looks like a painted gold doll. And that just might be my perspective because my color is weird on my second monitor, but He looks overly tanned.
Yeah.
No
I mean,
offense to the guy.
he looks like, yeah, he looks like a wax figure. It doesn't look real. I mean, I don't know anything about this, so I'd have to look it up.
From his funeral.
But I kind of doubt that they would like prop his body up. You know what I mean? So I don't know where they're getting this picture from, or or what. But it's kind of
It almost does.
Go ahead.
It almost does look like something you take a picture of for a guy for his funeral. It's like, this is him.
Mhm.
Here's just a memento photo. Like,
Yeah, it could be.
Though, given the angle, it could have been the shot of him laying down, and it could have been cropped because that flag does not look natural there.
Mm.
The shadow looks a bit off on the flag compared to him.
Hmm.
So it could be, I don't know. Photographer brain here.
Yeah.
Called UN Meditation, which was sung at the 20th anniversary of the meditation room. UN Meditation, a soulful cry to reach the vastness of oneness sky. UN Meditation's meditation group, a simple truth serving all loving truth. United Nations Meditation Room to stop for good the birth of cosmic doom. UN Meditation, a soulful cry. Now, furthermore, a meditation prayer entitled The Great Invocation has been adopted and used by United Nations associated groups, written by Alice Bailey, who apparently received it while in a trance through a member of her so-called spiritual hierarchy. The invocation is a call for Christ to earth. From the point of life within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let life stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. Now remember, friends, that when Alice Bailey and others at the United Nations talk about Christ, they are not talking about the biblical Christ. And we know that, friends, because they're not basing their beliefs on the foundation of biblical doctrine. They're basing their beliefs on this theosophy, this Luciferianism, this New Age concept of Christ, this cosmic Christ, this Christ that doesn't appear in bodily flesh, but is somehow invoked in us all, in all of humanity, to bring humanity together. Friends, and as I said last week, that is nothing less than the Antichrist spirit. The Antichrist spirit, friends, is embodied in the United Nations, and it's a startling fact to realize it as you begin to explore and uncover.
Real quick, guys, I'm actually going to say something to the chat. If somebody is on here obviously trolling or saying what they want to say and you don't agree with it, don't be mean or rude to them. It is their opinion and their want. Pointing it out is not necessarily just if you don't like it. If you get annoyed by them, just ignore them. Everybody has a right to be in the chat. Everybody has a right to be here. So regardless of their ill will, just ignore it. Because unless they're saying they're pointing out and trying to bully you, there's no use in saying they're bullying them, because one, it's not right to bully anyone. And two, it's just typed word that they are doing to point out something. They may be referring to something in the video and you may not understand their gist or their grasp for it. So try not to be rude or hateful to them. Just ignore the comment if you don't like it. Because I'm seeing a lot of people being mean to people, saying things about Emily. Yeah, we may not all be on the same nice page with said person, but it's just one of those things of forgiving like good. Yes, they may have tried to bind people, but at the same time, obviously it didn't work. And they've talked to certain individuals. I don't know if they've talked with you, Hellbound, but as far as I know, they've come to better terms with things with people, correct?
I have no idea, but yeah, I mean, just yeah, in the chat, just just ignore each other. Otherwise, we're gonna turn this video around. So.
No, I just noticed it while going through the chat. I mean, I'm not gonna ban or kick anybody, because obviously I'm giving you guys all a nice a nice little warning, because I love all you in the chat or when I post hearts, but just keep in mind, to each their own. All right? And don't point out or try to push bullying, okay? Because we love you all, you bastards.
Aw, thanks, Mom.
Yay!
The truths hidden in darkness at the United Nations. Now, this invocation continues from the centre where the will of God is known. Let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve from the centre which we call the race of men. Let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. Now, friends, if you didn't know the background of Alice Bailey and others, you may wonder, is this a Christian vocation? Is this a Christian poem? But friends, as I said, because we know the background, because we know these people, because we know of our connections, and we know that Lucis Trust and its dissemination of occult material across the earth, we can be absolutely sure, friends, that this is not Christian at all. This is not Christianity. This is not for Christ. This is against Christ. This is antichrist. The so-called restoration of the plan on earth referred to in the prayer is important. Firstly, we need to gain some understanding about what the plan is. In her,
I hate the fact that he's saying
no.
it's not for Christ.
Yeah, well, I
if
mean,
it's,
yeah. Go ahead.
it's for any belief, not just one belief. So he's saying, well, it only matters if it's Christ.
Right. So yeah, I mean, it's, and also, okay, Christianity is not the world religion. We're talking about the United Nations. So I think Alice Bailey tried to find something that was, more like a humanist or spiritual or whatever. But I mean, yeah, the Theosophical Society is Christian spiritualism. That's what they're, that's what they're part of their theosophy. But as for the UN, I think they would probably try to shy away from saying any particular deity and just sort of use loose terms like divinity or Godhead or whatever. And I mean, I can't exactly remember that poem that she wrote, but it sounded similar to that, So I think that, I bet you anything that what they're going to do with the externalization of the hierarchy is they're going to try to bring out this 10-point plan, which doesn't exist anywhere. And they claim it came from the externalization of the hierarchy. I have the externalization of the hierarchy. I tried to find this 10-point plan. I've never found it in there. I don't know where it comes from.
Yeah, so we can actually stop right here so that we can catch the full of the plan and bullshit it instead of having to come back.
Sounds like a
to
plan.
it later.
I can't sleep then. I must know.
Yeah, really.
I gotta protect myself.
So we stopped at. I'm gonna message in the thing what time we stopped so I don't forget. So whoever is in charge next week doesn't forget. Because
I think next week will be Dorian, right?
Yeah.
I believe so.
OBS style.
Well,
superior.
You know what, Dorian? So I tried it last week and it seemed to kind of work, but on Loki's end, it was kind of weird because she was hearing me twice. So if it works out for you, Dorian, go ahead and use OBS. But if it doesn't, don't worry about it and just do Google Hangouts. Whatever works out for you.
Well, I'll probably snag on you guys in the middle of the week. So just to do some trial and errors.
I have nothing I'm doing this week because again I'm a week without work because fuck my work. The only day I won't be available obviously would be the 4th. But other than that, I would be pretty much available anytime. Pretty much almost any time of day. Just hit me up on Twitter. I'm up all night because I'm up all night to get Loki, but at the same time, I have no life right now. So
I have no life.
Well, I can steal then for some to help me out. So
yeah. what was the actual problem was actually what I was trying to explain to Logan was, for me, in order to hear the sound from OBS, I have to be watching the video on YouTube alongside us talking about it
Ah,
on YouTube in order to catch what they're saying, because you can't split this. If you're sharing it on OBS, you can't split the sound. Was a problem.
or I'll try fiddling around with it, and
Yeah.
I'll let you guys know. But as for me, it's 10 o'clock here in Canada land, so
Yeah. Wrap it up.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks everybody in the chat. It was fun. Thank you so much. Thanks, Loki, for hosting.
have a good night, everyone.
No problem.
Nice seeing you guys.
It was fun.
Nope. Dorian's
right.
like, I'm out of here.
Well, he said I'm out.
Yep, I'm
All
out.
right, everyone. Have a good night.
All right. Good night. Blessed be all.
Blessed be.